Still Mills, what's the dizzle, man? Let's talk about it, man. Y'all already know what I'm here for, man. Yo, first off, shout out to Tyson Fury, man. That I know in my last video I just made before the fight, I said he didn't show from a skill set standpoint, he didn't really prove that he was the best heavyweight. He got a legitimate argument with this one. That was a really good performance, man. A real good performance. And shout out to Dillian Whyte as well, man. Shout out to Dillian Whyte. You know, I don't think he's ever gonna be a champion though. After this, if he continues to fight, man, because he just got knocked out cold the fight before his last fight, or 2 fights ago. You know what I'm saying? He just got, he got comatose. So it's like, where do you go from here, man? But oh man, and all of them was by way of uppercuts, man. Joshua first, Povetkin second, Fury third. Jesus, it's looking like the blueprint is out on him, man. Just whoever lines it up with Dillian Whyte from now on is more than likely going to be looking to line up that uppercut. So, but nonetheless, man, let's get into it, man. Dillian Whyte coming out southpaw through everybody. I was not expecting that. And at first I was excited about it. I'm like, oh shit, this is a completely new look right here, man. That's what I'm talking about. But as the round started progressing, I'm like, all right, man, this isn't the fight for you to come out experimenting like that, man. Tyson Fury, he's too sharp for you to sit there and do some shit. This isn't the experiment. This isn't the time to experiment with coming out in the southpaw stance. This isn't the fight for that, man. You would have to develop that trait throughout a plethora of fights. This ain't really the fight for you to be doing that with Tyson Fury, man. But nonetheless, he won the round, and that might be the best round that he had. He went in. He was tapping the body. He got right. He got right into tapping the body. He was doing a lot of posturing and fencing with the jab, so he didn't get off nothing too crazy with it. That's a fill-out round, the first round. So I think he clearly won the first round. The second round, he goes back orthodox. Fury comes out southpaw. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here, man? It was wild, man. It was and I started to see Fury begin to open up a little bit more as far as combinations are concerned. But the thing is, he didn't really take a step in. And I figured that when he came in at 260, I figured like, nah, he's not gonna take no step in, because he can't beat Fury. He can't beat Fury in the way that he beat Wilder, because he can't beat Whyte in the way that he beat Wilder. I said Fury. He can't beat Whyte in the way that he beat Wilder, man. Whyte is a lot more brolic and harder to deal with in the clinch. Even though Wilder ain't no small dude or nothing like that, man. But he's just not as beefy as a Dillian Whyte. So I knew he wasn't going to be able to stay in close quarters like that. I knew it wasn't going to happen, man. They was in there tussling. There was a lot of tussling and wrestling and everything, but you started to see Fury open up a little bit more, not just with his straight shots, but with the hooks. He started landing the hooks. So all right, yeah, clearly he won the second round. By the time the third round came around, he had already had Whyte figured out. Whyte is swinging extremely wild. He's a lot more composed. He opens up a lot on a lot of his fights. He opens up a lot, but that early, like, bro, you're not gonna hit him with the shots that you're looking to hit him with. You're gonna have to set those up. He's throwing wide left hooks. He's throwing wide overhand rights. I'm like, yo, this shit looks like smooth, like straight up desperation, man. It was a cut early on in the fight. Dillian Whyte gets cut right above the right eye because of all the grappling that's going on the inside, and just it was real chippy in there. That rabbit punching, like, you hit me in the back of the head, I'm hitting you in the back of the head. There was a lot of that. Somebody from Fury's corner threw water in Whyte. We like, yo, this shit. It was expected for that fight to get a little bit extra out. So I forget what round. I think, was that the 4th round? I want to say that was the 4th round. 5th round, and even from the, the 4th, I think from the third round on, he really started timing Whyte coming in. He really started timing him coming in, man. Check left hook, spin out, bah, get back out. And Whyte could never close the gap comfortably, and it muted his offense. And Fury was doing a lot of fencing with the jab. You know how he's real, he flickers with the jab. He's up, he's down, he's up, he's down. He's looking to stick it and actually land it, or he's just keeping it in your face to keep your wheels spinning and keep you guessing, man. But he really utilized the jab very well. And by the 6th round, oh my Lord, I did not see that coming. And it wasn't even like Whyte was, completely just broken down, because he was still finding success in pockets with the body shots, man. He was opening up to the body a lot, and he was landing really good body shots, man. It was just so much fat on those punches. It was wide. I'm like, why is he throwing this wide? He's a lot more composed and compact in his punches, even though he does open up. But it was like he was looking inside. He was looking way too much for those left hooks. He was looking for it way too much, to the point where it was becoming telegraphed. And he was missing by a mile. No, he was missing by the size of the Grand Canyon. I'm like, there's no way you're gonna land those on him. And then the 6th round comes, and he's once again, Fury is going to work. He's working off of the jab very well. He's posturing with the jab. He's fencing with the jab, and steps in behind it and lands a sensational rear uppercut. And that's all she wrote for Dillian Whyte. 6 rounds. I'm like, that, and it was devastating, man. It was a really devastating shot. Man, what more can you say, man? Shout out to Tyson Fury, because he really proved himself with this one, man. Because everybody is really hype off of the Deontay Wilder win, and I'm like, I'm not too sold on that. But Dillian Whyte is a legitimate, bona fide top 10 heavyweight with the resume to back it, not just padded stats. You know what I'm saying? He's went through a plethora of heavyweights, man. He's been through the Robert Heleniuses and the goddamn Povetkin's and the Joseph Parkers and people of that ilk. So for him to get in there, Derek Chisora, you know what I'm saying? For him to get in there and do that against someone of that ilk, I'm like, yo, it's pretty undeniable where Tyson Fury land. Like, yeah, he's official, man. But one thing I want to speak on is what they were saying after the fight, man. And I know what they're saying is hypotheticals and everything, man, but and I get what they're saying as far as him being, I believe Tyson Fury can compete in any era of heavyweights. He can compete in any era, man, because it's just his size alone, man. That's hard to deal with, because you got to think, man, how every team in the NBA has somebody on their roster that's 6'9". We don't see that in boxing. You dig? If you 6'6", that's like colossal. That's like, yo, this is a big motherfucker. You 6 foot, you a big motherfucker, but you 6'6", you big as hell. And now you 6'9", that's abnormal height anyway. That's an abnormality right there. You dig? So for somebody to be not only 6'9", but move as nimble as you move, you can bang in the pocket, you can bang on the outside. It's just really hard to deal with that, man. But just to sit up there and say he's possibly the best, the greatest heavyweight ever, can't give you that. I can't give you that. And I get he can fight in any era, man. But like I said, Mike Tyson is under, and his career wasn't 150% underwhelming, but the fights that everybody was expecting him to win or be competitive in, he came up short. He is an undisputed world champion, and he did beat some very credible fighters. Tony Tucker will have a field day in this era of heavyweight boxing. Tillis, Trevor Berbick, Tyrell Biggs, these dudes will have a field day in this era of boxing, man, where the fighters of yesteryear was a lot more like Usyk. They were built like a Usyk. They're not all, they're not as muscular. You dig? Only, let me see. Cannon was a little bit muscular. What's my man name? David Tua. Tyson was muscular. Yeah, he was most definitely muscular. But the thing is, he still was able. He was 220, and you gotta have size on you to be be 5'10" and fight in the heavyweight division. So he's fighting. He's 220. I think that was him at his best, and he's still nimble enough to be as fast and fleet-footed as he was, and still have hand speed to blind the opponent that he's fighting. So, as I've said before, Tyson beats anybody. I will argue that to the death of me. The Mike Tyson that fought Berbick and the Tyson that fought Tony Tucker and Tyrell Biggs beats anybody. I don't give a fuck what nobody say. And then when you talk, he said he's hesitant with Lennox. I'm like, you should be. you should be hesitant to say Lennox. You should be, because I don't think Tyson Fury beats Lennox neither. I think it's a hell of a fight, and I think Tyson Fury could beat Mike, and I think Tyson Fury could, but the key word is could. I'm not picking him to beat any of those dudes. I'm not, man. I'm honestly not, man. I'm not. I can't do it. I can't do it. And this is what we do when we get out of when we get to a point where we live in the moment. We live in the moment. I have to see Fury in there with the absolute best at this point. And at this point, AJ and Usyk are proven to be the best heavyweights outside of Tyson Fury. And there's already people who say it, who feel like he dust off AJ, and that's cool, because I understand it. But I have to see him in there first before I can just say, yeah, man, this is the baddest man who ever laced him up at heavyweight. I got to see that first. Even, how do you just forget about motherfucking Larry Holmes? And like, nah, bro. I'm definitely not doing that. We're not doing that. We're not doing that at all. So, the thing is with Tyson, I don't see anybody as respectable of the jab, as the jab is, and how it can nullify and blanket somebody's attack. Tyson isn't going in. Nobody is keeping Tyson at bay. And everybody's like, oh man, he had trouble with with tall men who were tough. The thing is, everybody, they go right to Tony Tucker, because Tony Tucker is one of the tallest people he's ever fought at 6'5". And look how he out jabbed Tony at 5'10". He completely out jabbed him. Now I don't think he could out jab the likes of a Tyson Fury, because it's just an 85-inch reach advantage is just goddamn ridiculous, man. How do you deal with that, man? But he be in that man's body, so I'm not about to sit here and say Tyson Fury is beating any and every heavy. I'm not doing that, but I could most definitely see the argument. I'm not about to sit here and say that he's the best heavyweight to ever lace him up. You bet not go, because I'm next. He's the best heavyweight to ever. No, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I'm not. He beat one bona fide champion who didn't have his stats padded, his record padded, in Vladimir Klitschko. And I'm not taking that win from him, even though they feel like, oh man, that Klitschko was a little. Nah, we're not doing that. He beat Klitschko. But I got to see it. I got to see him in there with the last two men standing, depending on who wins that the rematch in the next couple of months. So it was a real good performance I saw in there from him, man. The fact that he's he's sitting down on his punches now and getting the proper leverage on those shots to deliver the blows that he's delivering is devastating. On top of him already, I think they're good. It was easier to deal with the fleet-footed Tyson Fury, who didn't sit down on punches. This Tyson Fury is going to be a handful for any of these dudes to deal with. Any of them. Any of them. Usyk or Joshua. And I don't think he's going to retire, honestly. I think he'll come back for that undisputed title match, because he's going to want that attached to his resume. And then he legitimately have an argument for what it is that Tim Bradley was saying. But in the now, I just don't. I'm not about to jump out the window and say that. But it was a great performance from him tonight, man. That dude, he put on a show. He put on a show. he put on the show. And one more thing before I bounce out. Like I said it before, man, y'all really need to take value in the Brits and their fighters over there, and because nobody isn't packing out 94,000, not here in America. Only one that can, Canelo packed 73,000. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna need American fighters to step their game up and really just begin to expand your minds outside of the North American border. South across the border, north of the border, whatever, but just really get out of this box of America. It only needs to happen in America. Nah. Start seeing the value in other places. And the UK is one of them places. But why is this cart just in the middle of the street like that? That shit crazy. But nonetheless, great win, Tyson Fury. Keep your head up, Dillian Whyte, and that's all I gotta say about it, man. Deuces.